All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm Kagros.
He's Juicy, and I'm IDK.
I'm Juicy. I'm the just desserts.
Absolutely the just
I'm
desserts.
just desserts.
Just desserts.
I'm last. You gotta have me last.
I'm the appetizer then, huh?
Of course.
And
You're
then
the one who opens up to the main feast.
the main
I don't
course
know.
is the IDK, huh?
I always have my desserts first. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, I think IDK is not just the main course. I think he's the full course.
You might say I have the full body. Mm-hmm.
Because when you hop on the IDK train, you are 100% at his mercy.
No. Okay.
All right, so I guess the first order of business is to come up with a podcast name. Gentlemen, do you have any ideas?
I think it should be gaming related.
Yes, absolutely.
Anything that mentions games in it is good.
Mr. IDK?
The Iron Order.
The Iron Order, huh?
It's not very gamey, but it kind of like references Jedi Order.
Mm-hmm.
So we're the Iron Order.
So, okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say it reminded me of what's that game? The Order 1886 or something? That PS4 game.
Oh yes. That's the Order, 1776 or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, my suggestion is blood, salt, and iron.
Blood, salt, and iron.
Yes, the blood and iron comes from, it's an old war saying from Bismarck, and then I added the salt in, well, because gamers are full of salt, and the iron you need to join the PC Master Race if you want to play good games. That's the iron. The blood is clearly the blood you shed when you are grinding through a game, and the salt, well, salt comes naturally,
If we do that, then we have to be a lot saltier. I don't think we're salty enough.
We have to discuss some pretty angering topics.
I mean, we can just do tears instead of salt. Blood, tears, and iron. I mean, tears is the same thing, too. I mean, we complain a lot about games, don't we? I know I do.
What about Troll Circus?
No, absolutely not. No, that's just you.
Troll Circus.
I actually like, instead of the Iron Order, I would prefer it. I think Order of Iron sounds better.
Order of Iron. What about the Iron Joystick?
That's what I was thinking too. That's what I was thinking too, but that carries another connotation with it.
That's exactly why we should have it.
Hey man, our podcast is for people of all. It's for everybody, children included.
Really?
Yeah, who loves joysticks the most, right? It's the easiest to play with.
I still think keyboard is easier to play with. I'm just saying.
Keyboard, okay.
Now we're starting to get salty. Things are starting to get spicy. Salty and spicy here, baby.
WASD is all you need, dude.
Salty and spicy.
Salty and spicy. The Iron Controller, the Iron Console, something gaming, something iron.
Something salty.
Something salty.
Alright, let's stick with salty nuts for now, and then we'll come back
nuts?
to it.
Salty!
We'll come back to it towards the end.
Salty nuts!
salty nuts.
Okay, let's shelve this for now and come back to it maybe towards the end.
What about
How's that?
thumbsticks and daggers?
Dumbsticks and daggers.
No, thumbsticks and daggers.
Thumbsticks and daggers, huh? All right. Yeah, I think let's sit on some of these names, and then we'll return to it at the very end.
Sit on these salty nuts.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
All right.
What is our first order of business, gentlemen?
So we're gonna continue more Persona, and I promise the listeners that we won't just be talking about Persona the entire time for this podcast. It's just
Yeah,
not, it's
we're not Persona experts.
absolutely not. I mean, maybe IDK is. but-
What? No. If anyone's an expert, it's you. You're the one that played the main three.
I did, but anyways, yeah. It just happened to be the last game that in
We all
recent memory
played.
that we all played. So that's why we're talking Persona. Like, I promise you that we'll talk about other things. So, anyways, let us move to the first topic. It will be regarding the confidants in Persona. So, I think let's go through and compare all the confidants between Persona 4 and Persona 5. And we can talk
Okay.
about what we liked, or which confidant was stronger, which one we didn't like, and things like that. So
Okay.
let's start with so number 0 is the full Arcana, and the only Arcana, I mean, I'm just gonna admit P3 and P4, it was both your team, and then P5 it was Igor. So there isn't really much to discuss unless someone wants to discuss about this.
I am curious to know why the team itself falls under the full Arcana, just because I don't know what that symbolizes. Whereas, at least for P5, I feel like the Arcana matches pretty well with Igor, especially with his personality and like just how the story unfolds.
Oh, actually, that's a good point. And one thing that we are going to say is that this is all spoiler. This is all spoiler territory now. So we're gonna freely discuss P4 and P5 as if you played them or as you know how they end. That way, we're not going to be held back by anything. Because I think it's really important to put that spoiler tag there because we will discuss these things at great length, and we won't be able to if we cannot talk. If it's spoiler free.
Mhm.
So going back to what Juicy asked, so usually in P3 and P4 is supposed to the fool is supposed to represent the protagonist, because the protagonist is the fool that goes on the journey, according to the tarot. So that's why the tarot card, I actually have it on the screen here, is it's a traveler.
But but why the entire team? Like, yeah, it makes sense that the MC is the fool, but it doesn't make sense why it includes the entire team as well.
All right, so let me go ahead and read what's on the wiki here. So the description is portrayed as a jester laughing very closely to a cliff, accompanied with a dog at his heels. The fool represents innocence, divine inspiration, madness, freedom, spontaneity, inexperience, chaos, and creativity. The Arcana is originally the only one that doesn't have a number. Thus, it is considered as the Arcana number 0 or number 22. As such, the silent protagonists from the recent adaptations often start out with the full Arcana, in reference of their personality being shaped via players' actions and decisions. And then everything else talks about specific games. And let's see. Yep. So that's the description of the fool.
Mm.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It's pretty cool, actually. I really like. I don't think there's any other games out there that use this tarot theme.
No, not that I can think of. But going back to your original question, like why assign that card to not only the protagonist but then also the entire team? I think part of me, the cynical part of me, the salty part of me wants to say they were just lazy and we're like, you know what, let's go throw them into like one tarot card. We're not gonna mess with having them have a whole bunch. Just bam, the whole team working together is this card because they're all fools on a journey. You know, it just happens to be
Yeah,
there's a band of them working together to pursue the same mystery.
Mm-hmm.
It's just ease.
that makes sense. Sure.
All right, let's go on to the first, the number one, the magician, and I will go ahead and first. So in P4, the magician is Yosuke Bosuke,
Mm-hmm.
and in P5, the confidant is Morgana. And according to the description here, characters of the magician arcana are typically the first male friend and social link of the protagonist, and are typically perverted male characters. Furthermore, they also serve as the best friend, right-hand man, and or second in command to the protagonist. A common trait shared between members of the Magician Arcana is their strong vision and aspiration for the future and fulfilling their inner potential. Because of this, they might often have the tendency to live inside their minds. And then, let's see what else. This helps them show a strong sense of confidence, but this only serves as an attempt to shield themselves from a serious inferiority complex. And then let's see anything else. Yep. And then an ongoing theme that is related to all magician arcana links is the tragedy that befalls the social link character related to their romantic interest.
Hmm.
All right.
So, hey, sorry to cut you off, but just to go back to the previous Arcana,
Mm-hmm.
since we're not, I guess we're talking about the themes of the Arcana and if it fits the Confidants, but just as a whole, if we're comparing Confidants, Igor's the best Confidant by far. Like S tier, like we don't gotta even talk about it. Now we can talk about the
All right.
Arcana.
So I was thinking more of comparing the two since we're only doing 4 and 5. You can also mention 3 if there's anything you guys remember, but
Mhm.
we just want to compare the two and maybe which character you enjoyed more in the Arcana and how it relates to the traits that I'm mentioning at the beginning of each one. And like their overall story and which character a character may have a better story, but you might not like them as much as the other one. So like things like that.
So the traits that you're reading off, I'm assuming is from the Persona wiki. Um, I wonder if the trait description is. It seems like it's based off of the characters. It's not necessarily like what the traits are inherently.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm thinking if you could read like maybe like the tarot card descriptions from Wikipedia or like some other source.
Sure.
But anyways, I think yeah, Morgana fits that bill pretty well, especially with like having internal conflict. I don't know about Yosuke Bosuke because it's been a while since I played P4, but I think he and many other confidants, social links, he's very much alike them in the sense that everyone has their own internal struggle. So I don't know. I don't think Yosuke feels like a magician, confidant or magician, like arcana. But if the magician is always like the right hand man to, I don't know if the MC or to the fool, then yeah, then it makes sense. Yeah, what do you think, IDK?
Sorry, I was trying to find the tarot card thing. It's a little harder to find actual descriptions of the cards.
Yeah.
If we're gonna go by the definition listed by on the Persona Wiki about the magician, it definitely fits Yosuke more than Morgana to an extent. I mean, they fit, and it's like Yeah, that's his character, all right. He's suffering from the loss of a loved one, and he has insecurities. He tries to hide, and he's technically your best friend. Um,
Yeah.
cool. Like that's his character. It's not a bad one. And with Morgana, it's like, well, Morgana technically doesn't lose a love interest by death.
Yeah.
I mean, but I guess the difference isn't like 100%. They have to follow all these specifics. It's like, well, he's like your first. Wait, Morgana's not even your first friend either.
Nope.
Ryuji is.
Yep.
It's like Morgana now is 2 steps out.
Yep.
He's not your first friend. He doesn't have a love interest he loses unless you, of course, cuck him and steal away Anne. What else?
He is your closest friend because he literally sleeps right next to you.
He is probably your closest compadre, I guess. That's arguable, I think, but
Is compadre another word for friend? I rest my case.
compatriot. I mean, come on. He's also the guy that forces you to stay at home when you should be out partying. I want to go out and party. You need to go to bed. Go to bed. You can't go out. You little stupid cat.
Right. So I think this is a good thing to mention. Like P3, I think should be the tiebreaker. So in P3, the magician is your first male friend. I forget and the magician was
Junpei.
no, I mean that's if you're the female protagonist, but it's Kenji, and he's like your first classmate that you meet.
It's Kenji.
Yes. So Yosuke definitely fits it a lot more with that regard, and you'll see that in P5 a lot of the confidants are no longer attending your school, whereas in P3 and P4 a lot of them were attending the school. I think with regards to the story, I actually really Yosuke is actually one of my favorite. You know, like in terms of like confidant stories, I liked his story a lot about how his, you know, how he felt about Saki, and how he felt about living in this small town when he came from the city. He had a lot of like resentment towards it. Whereas like Morgana, we know Morgana's story arc, especially during Haru's palace, or not her palace, but during her when she was the main focus. Like Morgana was just he did some really stupid shit. Like, oh no, I don't know who I am, and then I'm a person, and like, yeah, all right, why are you throwing a hissy fit? Just calm down. No, I'm gonna go to the dungeon by myself, and then you're like, what the heck? Like, why? You're gonna get wrecked, dude. You only use Garu. You're gonna get you're gonna get one shot by someone that uses lightning, right? Like, come on.
Ryuji literally gets made fun of the entire game. Everyone's shitting on him. He just laughs about it. Morgana gets shat on like twice. He has a mental breakdown and runs away.
Yeah. So I actually like Yosuke's story a lot more, and I actually enjoy Yosuke's character more than Morgana's character. If we're going with the magician, with what I discussed earlier, fulfilling aspiration for the future and fulfilling their inner potential. Obviously Morgana I think is a lot stronger with regards to that. But as a character, I just like Yosuke's story and just his character better. And so here I'm reading from the Tarot now. So according to the Tarot here, it points to the talents, capabilities, and resources at the Fool's disposal. So the Fool is basically the protagonist of the story, and most of these and he's going on a journey. So all these cards are going to pertain to him. So I think during this part of the story, he meets with a magician. In addition, depending on the card's placement in relation to other cards, the message is to tap into one's full potential rather than holding back, especially when there is a need to transform something, and there are choices and decisions to take. And then it's associated with skill, diplomacy, address, subtlety, pain, loss, disaster, snares of enemies, self-confidence, wills, and will. So I think
Oh.
the main theme of this is just like the will is self confidence and will. I believe it's just having a motive.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Morgana, and definitely during Haru's arc, definitely got docked down as just someone being cool. But I do think this may not be fully redeeming of him, but I think in Persona 5 Royal, when you get into the Kasumi arc, and then you see Morgana go through that phase of him being actually human, I thought that was really interesting, actually. And everyone kind of has a revelation during that arc, but I don't know. I really like that that side of him. Uh, but yeah, Yosuke is just such a bro. So definitely, yeah, he fits the bill for being a magician.
IDK, do you have anything you'd like to add?
At the rate he's going at, he'll be a real magician. He'll reach that level 30 mark real
Oh my
quick.
goodness, Sean. IDK, come on.
He's a real bro.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think Yosuke Bosuke's got the moves. He's not going to become a wizard.
Dude, Yosuke's got a toaster on lockdown, man.
Am I missing something?
Yes,
What's going on?
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so like in Persona 4 has been the most milked game in the Persona franchise before 5. Basically, you have Persona 4, and then Golden, and then you also had the fighting games, Arena and Ultimax, and that combines P3 characters back into P4, and they have a canon story. And long story short is, our boy Yosuke sets up a date potentially with Labris, which is Aegis's sister or something. But Labris is a robot. Our boy's gonna be hooking up with a toaster. Because that's a meme from P3. Aegis is a toaster. He's a robot. So yeah, he might get a girl, but she might be an android. So
Nah,
there
man.
we go.
Chie. Yosuke X Chie. 100% sure, dude.
People want that. I don't know.
When you say people, or they want Yosuke and Lapras.
I don't know. People are just like, well, that's the canon now. He's gonna try to go out with Lapras instead of Chie. But the problem with these fighting games is not everyone's gonna play them. So not everyone's gonna consider them canon, even though Atlas apparently does. So,
I
and
mean,
and then the dancing game shows him without Lapras. So, I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing everything. Lapras, whatever it is.
Lapras used Blizzard.
I mean, he may have gotten a chance on a date with her, and then it just didn't go anywhere. Because, like, in Persona 4 Dancing, they're all back together in the city again, and she's nowhere to be found. So, yeah, who knows? He may be alone forever.
yeah, Chie is old news.
Cop Chie, gonna arrest him.
Alright, let's go on to the next one. The next one is the Priestess, and in P4 it was Yukiko, and in P5 it was Makoto. So let me read.
I was gonna say skip next.
I'll also just as you said, I will just read the Arcana or the tarot reading rather than the actual persona description of it, and we can see how well it fits. So the High Priestess card is associated with secrets, mystery, the future as yet unrevealed, the woman who interests the fool. And yes, so that's the description of the High Priestess.
The woman who interests the fool.
And the woman who has secrets.
Secrets. And something about the future.
The future as yet unrevealed.
Future's not yet unrevealed. So they're both worrying about their future.
Yes, and one thing to point out is that the High Priestess, you can kind of think of it as the female equivalent of the Pope.
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of secrets, I don't think either character fits that, but with not knowing what the future holds, I'm guessing that's Yukiko? Or is it?
I think with secrets, their secrets are weak, but I think they both have it. Yukiko has the secret of her not wanting to be a part of her family's inn and trying to do all this stuff on the side to get away from it, which she confides in you as the fool. And then Makoto has like the fact that she's secretly a dork and not actually very sociable as the student body president. Like she's so strict and straight-laced, but she's actually kind of a fool. Are those actually real important secrets? No, but they're kind of there.
Yeah.
And then, what else?
Future?
The future. I mean, Yukiko's not sure where she's going to go, if she should run the inn or not. Makoto isn't sure what to do because she doesn't know what society wants her to do or what she should do based off of what society wants. What does the school want from her? What does she want to do? Does she want to follow her father's footsteps and become a cop or become a lawyer like her sister? So I can see that. That's more clear than the secrets thing.
Yeah.
As for a woman who interests the fool,
You know who it is.
I just don't see it from either of them.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, just from the reading of the tarot, it's like, oh yeah, the fool is interested in them. Like, they're an interesting character. I don't know.
So, the reason why I think it's obvious is because in P5, Makoto is by default, the person that's interested in you.
Alright.
Do you want to interject? Is there...
Here is my hot take. Alright? Man. So, there's no secret to these two. They know this for sure, but I do not like Makoto. And it definitely, I think in the vanilla P5, I think she's like the default person that you go on the beach date with, right? Like, if no one else wants you, then you go with Makoto, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think a lot of people use that as a justification for Makoto being the canon love interest, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so go ahead.
No, I was going to say, there's that, and then there's also the key point of, this is much further in the game, so in P5 Original, you have that Christmas date,
Yes.
and you bring Makoto back to your house, and so you spend time with her there, and then you leave to go turn yourself in to be arrested, and the next scene that pops up, the scene with the diner, and everyone's in there, like, coming for the party, who's there first? Like, who's there by default? You have Sojiro, you have, like, Futaba, and then you have Makoto.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh yeah, she spent the night with you on Christmas. You snuck away to go turn yourself in. She comes downstairs and you're gone, and then suddenly she hears the news you've been arrested by the police. Like, people latch onto that and like, this is why it's canon. She actually was there, and it's like, really? I mean, I admit that's pretty strong proof, but still, really?
It's for sure Makoto, and I wouldn't be shocked if statistically the majority of players picked Makoto for the first playthrough. And I have a story to tell because I had a friend who recently played Persona 5 Royal.
Ooh.
And that was that person's first time playing any Persona game.
Ooh.
And guess who they picked?
Kasumi.
Nobody.
Makoto! Because it's canon, okay?
Okay. For the record, no one in this podcast picked Makoto.
Hell no!
No one picked Makoto.
I didn't. She was like,
Get that casual garbage out of here.
I mean, it was like, why would you pick her? There's so many other more interesting characters.
Yeah,
Even
right?
side characters are more interesting than her.
She's so
Like,
vanilla.
she has the same arguments against her that poor Haru does. People slander poor Haru because she's just a boring bubblegum princess. Well, yeah, what the fuck's Makoto? She's just a boring street princess, you know? She's the daughter of a cop. Her sister's a lawyer. She's part of the law. Ooh, she's a student council president. Ooh, big whoop. As blank as white bread.
Yeah, I actually did read a Reddit post about why people like Makoto so much, and one of them is that the reason why is because you have a lot of time with Makoto. Makoto is a huge part of the storylines, and when someone pointed out that the reason why is that because she's a sister of Sei. So even after the third palace where Makoto is featured, she's still featured in the story because of her connection to Sei. So she naturally gets more screen time than any other female party member because of that reason. And because of, obviously, if the character gets more screen time, then they're going to be more developed. So that is another reason why people kind of gravitate to. I know my brother picked Makoto too, and I was talking to one of my other friends too, and he also picked Makoto, and I was like, "You guys have garbage taste." She's so good.
I mean, at that point, fuck, might as well just ship the main character with Akechi. They're fucking together all the damn time.
Absolutely, dude. Come
How
on.
about Ryuji? Get my boy Ryuji in here. Come on. Come on, he's there by your side all day long.
Hey, like Makoto Silvanilla, come on, you're playing this game, you can date any girl. If you want a vanilla person, then just go date one in real life. Like this is a fan. Just come on.
Why pick the emotionally stunted one? That's what I want to know. Are you trying to be a hero here? You're trying to be a savior? You're trying to redeem someone? You know?
Absolutely, dude.
Like,
absolutely. That's why I play these games.
If you wanted the stock standard character, fine. You know what? I'll admit, go for Haru. Okay, she's sweet. She's
Hold up.
Hold up.
She is perfect as the bland character. Okay, she's sweet.
Okay.
Makoto is just like sour bread. Who the fuck eats sour bread?
I do. I love sourdough.
Sourdough, baby.
I'm not talking about sour.
All right. I think we should stop bashing on Makoto. And one thing I do want to point out is that Yukiko and Makoto are quite similar.
Nah.
I think you guys mentioned this.
They're both pretty clueless.
They're both pretty clueless, and they both have basically people expect them to have a certain future, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a key part of the priestess, because that's the similar they share. But I like Yukiko a lot more. I think as a character she has more depth, and I thought she was a lot more adorable than Makoto. Like Makoto was just so bland, but like Yukiko has like her laughing fits and she actually is very, very. It's like she struggled a lot with basically her responsibilities or what people expect out of her versus what she wants. And I think because P4 focus on the individual characters was a lot stronger, that Yukiko's story came out a lot stronger than Makoto's. Makoto's Social Link, I didn't really like it. I think Makoto's Social Link story is not a very strong story. It's just like Makoto meets this girl and then like stalks her, thinking that she's getting taken advantage of, and the story isn't very compelling. The reason why people like Makoto, like I said, is because she has she's featured in the main story a lot.
I guess so. I think the one thing also going for Yukiko that gets lost in translation, it's not necessarily a fault of the translators, it's just the social context. Yukiko is supposed to be sort of a form of Yamato Nadeshiko. She's like this perfect Japanese woman. And her looks, and her stylings, and her character, and that's what she's supposed to be. And as you slowly get to know her, you find out she's not. And she doesn't want to be that way, but she's forced to by society's sort of like requirements and her family's need for her to be that way. And it's one of those things that sort of just is lost, because as an English person, you're like, oh, she's a very pretty Japanese girl, but she's very prim and proper, but she actually doesn't like being that way. Well, cool. She's individual. In Japan, that would have been a huge fucking deal. It would have been like, whoa, she's supposed to be this perfect girl, but in actuality, she's not. Like, that's a big flip of the switch there. And whereas Makoto is like, well, she's the daughter of a cop, her sister's a lawyer, and she's the perfect student, and she's a student president, body council, whatever. She's also in that sort of like position of needing to be Miss Perfect, but it's not so much the traditional sense. It's the like, well, yeah, she's an academic superpower. You know, she's held to high regard by the school, and that's about it.
Yeah, I think Makoto too. This also people forget that she is also your senpai, but that
Yeah,
is that no one kind of remembers that because she doesn't feel like a senpai. Like Mitsuru was definitely a senpai, right? But
yeah.
Makoto, no.
Mitsuru. I mean, Mitsuru was very curt and to the point. She was very serious, and
Yeah.
Makoto can be that way too in the beginning. But then once you break down the barriers and she just starts getting treated as like one of the club, it's like, well, she's kind of like this derpy, kind of dopish upperclassman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Yukiko is
Yukiko is better.
the more likable character, but the one thing I will say about Makoto, which I do like about her, is that I think she's a pretty strong character for who she is. Like, in terms of being somewhat of the leader of the group, and it's really cool that she has the code name Queen because she's the one giving out orders, and I think because of that she's so badass, and you know, based on her outfit and her persona, like, yeah, she's a total badass, and I think that's one of the reasons why people like her, because she is pretty cool in that sense. But yeah, I totally agree. Like, she's just so bland, and yeah, it's unfortunate because I think she could have been um, someone who's a lot more like approachable and someone who you can really um, relate to.
Mm-hmm.
The motorcycle really saves her character. It's like this really cool, awesome feature, and then
When you evolve it, you lose it.
you evolve it, you lose the cool ass motorcycle, and you
But
get
they
a
fixed
mech.
it. They fixed it in Royal. I think when
They-
you the third
Yes,
evolution.
the third evolution does fix it. It brings it back to being a super bike. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And
So one thing I do want to point out as well is that in Persona 5, the outfits that the characters are wearing and their personas, it actually represents what that character sees as a spirit of rebellion. So the reason why Makoto is dressed like that is because that's what she perceives as what a rebel looks like.
a biker.
Yeah. So, however the characters dress up when they're in, mementos, that's how they perceive to be rebelling. So just wanted to point that out. All right, let's keep moving. So the next one is the Empress, and in Persona 4, it's Margaret, and in Persona 5, it's Haru. And according to the interpretation, is let's see here. So it's a fruitful mother of thousands. She is above all universal, fecundity, and the outer sense of the word, the repository of all things nurturing and sustaining and of feeding others. The Empress is a mother, a creator, and nurturer. In many decks, she can be shown as pregnant. She can represent the creation of life, romance, art, or business, and can represent the germination of an idea before it is ready to be fully born, and the need to be receptive to change. The Empress, fruitfulness, action, initiative, length of days. The unknown, clandestine, also difficulty, doubt, ignorance. So that is the description.
I think Haru fits that pretty well from a motherly standpoint. I don't know about Margaret because I don't remember her very well.
Margaret.
IDK, I think we should let IDK talk.
Margaret's gonna fall pretty hard on this one because you really don't get to know a whole lot about her in Persona 4 base or in Golden, really. She just doesn't have enough to her. Even with the secret boss fight against her, you don't get enough to know about her. Yes, she's kind of caring, she's kind of nurturing, but it's nowhere near the same level as Haru. Like, Haru's growing plants on the rooftop, and she's always caring about the rest of the team. She is like the team mother in a sense. But Margaret does show a lot of affection towards you as the fool. So, yeah, I don't know. And she's there to help you sometimes. Hey, yeah, I definitely would say the definition fits Haru better.
Yes, I think story-wise, Margaret doesn't really get developed, and I think this was kind of like a throw-in from the developers. I think Haru obviously has by default has a better story and everything, and but the thing is, Margaret she is a woman of authority. She definitely exudes that aura,
Yes.
but I think her story is a lot more developed character. Like Margaret just becomes curious about you. Personally, I feel like the Empress Arcana is probably IDK's favorite, based on the characters that are listed. Am I incorrect?
I do like the Empress quite a lot, especially P3's Empress.
Yes. Step on
I,
me, please.
I mean, I think she's a fan favorite for a lot of people. But staying with 4 and 5, I really liked Margaret. She has a cool design. She's really sort of like this really posh sort of on airs. Like when you first meet her, she just like straight up looks at you and then ignores you. She's like, whatever, garbage. But then she helps you, and she's like assigned to take care of you by Igor. And I do think one of the things that was brought by the tarot card, doubt, sort of like doubt in general or about the future. I do think she has the essence of that though, because she's not really sure what's going on with herself and why she's feeling this, why she feels the way she does about the main character, or about the role she has to play in helping. And she's not sure why she feels this way, her feelings, like is she supposed to be feeling this way towards the main character and expressing herself beyond her role assigned to her by Igor. And that sort of ties back into 3 again, because if you know the back lore, basically, as a result of what happens to the main character from Persona 3, Elizabeth sort of steps out of the Velvet Room and goes to try to find a way to save that character. Sort of abandons her duties to Igor. So Margaret steps in to take over. Margaret is initially kind of pissed off about this. She doesn't understand why Elizabeth would do that and would leave for a human being. And as a result of P4 and Golden and your secret boss battle with her, she comes to understand why Elizabeth would do that. She sort of clears up that doubt about why Elizabeth left her duty. She's like, oh, now I understand why. And if something happened to you, I would do the same for you. Mm-hmm. Now, with Haru, the doubt is pretty obvious there because, she has a whole issue with her father dying. This sort of marriage that's being forced upon her that she can't get rid of without help. She's not sure about what her future is supposed to be, about where she wants to go with the company and herself. Like, that's all self-explained in her story. Pretty clear there.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, let's go on to the next one. Next one.
But if I had to ask you my favorite of the 3 Empresses, it's going to be Haru. Okay.
Okay. All right. Glad we can clear that up.
Now, make no mistake. It's Haru.
Okay.
She's the best.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the Emperor. So the Emperor represents stability, power, protection, realization, a great person, aid, reason, conviction, also authority and will. And the 2 characters from Persona 4 it's Kanji, and Persona 5 it's Yusuke.
Emperor. What's the gist of it again?
Stability, power, protection, realization, a great person, aid, reason, conviction, also authority and will. That's it.
I think for someone who's authoritative, I can definitely see Yusuke being that. Yeah. But I mean, Kanji, best boy. So no doubts.
If we're talking power, then that's definitely Kanji to a T.
Wait,
And
why is that?
he just sort of exudes it. Like it's part of his manliness issue. It's like he has this very powerful persona. I mean, just the way he looks, but also his actual persona. You know, it's a giant king, giant
Mm.
skeleton king. Like he's a macho man. He exudes power. He's kind of got that authority look. Like he's always the one everyone is initially afraid of, and then sort of like he's the one that helps keep people on track. You know, after Nanako like has her event, he's the one that gets everyone snapped back to reality. He's that sort of stable base. Um, if we're talking about Yusuke, he's more of the realization part of that tarot, like coming to terms with who he is by his paintings and sort of come to terms with his ability as an artist. Power.
So
Yeah.
I think Kanji. If they put him as a chariot, I would not be surprised if they had made him the chariot as well. Because based on his personality, it's like it's his first reaction thing is just impulsively use violence, right?
Yeah.
And I think like Yusuke, obviously, like if you think Emperor, right? I think Yusuke fits it as well. He's like the cool and relaxed. I don't know how much authority he kind of exudes, but like he's like really cool, and I think I think Yusuke definitely fits it as well. Between likability of the characters, I do like Kanji a lot more because Kanji's best boy, and he must be protected. And in addition, come on, man. At the end of his story, he's teaching everybody in or he's holding classes on how to knit. Come on, dude. That's
So
my
good.
boy. That's my boy right there, dude. But I do like Yusuke's story a lot, and how his story about how he was in a rut, and then he was trying to glean inspiration from mementos of all things,
Mm-hmm.
and the heart of human desire. And I think Yusuke's story would have been a lot better if they ended up in P5R, if they ended up putting in the story about his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the files. It was actually in the files. Like there was a scene where Madarame watched Yusuke's mom die.
Mm.
And
Wow.
yeah, there was, and actually, and yeah, so I think Yusuke's character could have been fleshed out a little bit more with that, but between the two of them, I think they're both good representations, but they're just kind of in different ways. Like Yusuke has the personality of it, like he really really cool, but I think Kanji, especially when you find out the reason why he's like the way he is, he wants to protect everybody, right? And I think Kanji, in terms of giving to others, like an emperor bestows upon his subjects, I think Kanji definitely fits it more.
Mm. Yeah, sign me up. I mean, Kanji. Just put him in my party.
He was in my
Best
party.
boy.
He was in my party.
Yeah. I mean, Kanji's just the character I remember more. Even though I played Persona 5 6 times, Yusuke really just never really stuck with me that much. I liked the story the first time I played it, and then after that I just simply let him sit on the bench. It was like, okay.
You let him sit on the bench? Are you crazy?
Yeah, I didn't need him. I had other people I
Dude,
wanted.
he's so good. Like Yusuke, dude. Yusuke's so good, dude. He's like one of the best physical attackers on your party, and he has that the agility buff, dude. Come on.
Don't need him. Literally don't need him. Sit on the bench.
Oh man,
I-
IDK with his harem. It's just three female party members and then him.
Yeah, pretty much, I guess.
I'm on board. I like harems. sign me up.
All right, so let's go on to the next one with the Hierophant. And I think we had when I was playing, you guys were kind of confused about what the Hierophant is. The Hierophant is the Pope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's the big cheese.
Yep. So the Hierophant represents marriage, alliance, captivity, servitude. By another account, mercy and goodness, inspiration, and the man to whom the fool has recourse. And the Hierophant is Dojima in P4, and
Dojima.
and it's Sojiro in P5.
Sojiro.
And I think I'll read the wiki description really quickly. Is characters of this arcana are often older than the protagonist and are typically quite wise and logical. And the common connection between these characters usually is their association and obsession with the past.
Is that from the Persona wiki?
Yes, that's from the Persona wiki.
Yeah, I guess that's the similarities between the two. Man, I right when you said Hierophant, I was like, I can't decide. They're both really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no clear winner between the two. Like, each of them are really great in their respective games. Their backstories are both equally convincing for the reason why they are the way they are, especially when you put levels into them. I mean, Dojima, he's a badass detective dude. Come on, like, he's awesome. And
Let me ask you this, Kagros. Sorry, I need to ask Kagros about this. Who's more of a father figure, Dojima or Sojiro? Because I think Sojiro is more of a father figure, like pretty much towards the end, but I could be forgetting P4.
All right. So you remember IDK sent me that comic,
The
animated
YouTube
comic?
video?
Yeah, the YouTube video, the animated comic,
Uh-huh.
and how the comic basically made fun of Dojima just going out and just drinking while leaving Nanako at home.
Yeah.
So by far, Sojiro is the better father. I think Sojiro is definitely the better father because he wants what's best for Futaba, and he's actually always around, unlike Dojima, who's always leaving Hanako to be raised at home by Junesu.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean it by that. I meant father figure for the MC.
Okay, that's kind of different. 'Cause
Yeah.
they are both kind of hands off, right? Because like Sojiro was like, for most of the game, he's like, why am I taking care of this kid? Like, you better lock up. Here, I'm gonna throw you in my attic, and you're gonna live there. But ultimately, I still think Sojiro is the better father figure because he teaches you how to make coffee and curry. What does Dojima teach you? Dojima makes you a cup of coffee, and that's it. But Sojiro teaches you how to make coffee and curry, and especially towards the second half of the game, I think Sojiro is a better father figure than Dojima.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I think in terms of the actual social link story, Sojiro is pretty bad. I don't know. It's hard. I think it's like redundant because from what I remember with Sojiro's story or the social link is that he's like trying to fend off Futaba's uncles.
Yep.
Uncle and aunt, and they're accusing him of neglecting Futaba.
I think it's just the uncle. The uncle and aunt. The thing is, with Sojiro's story is also very similar to Kawakami's.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think you got it mixed up. But yeah, in Kawakami's, it's a stepmom.
It's an uncle and aunt.
Yeah, but the Sojiro
Or father.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, but in Sojiro, I think it's just uncle.
Got it.
Yeah. So I think with regards to these two, their stories are almost identical. I think.
Really?
I think like the details are changed a little bit, but like the core of their stories is very similar. Like these guys, I think are neck and neck. I do like Sojiro better because of his relationship with Futaba, but Dojima does have best daughter and best girl as his daughter, but he kind of abandoned her in the first half of P4, so that's like major minus points. Like you have the best daughter ever. Why won't you protect her?
So that's totally true. But then Dojima's social link, like it explains why he's been neglecting his daughter, and then at the end they make up, and
Yes.
he's able to let go of the past and, be present with his daughter.
Mm.
I think that's really beautiful, and I don't see any similarities with the social links between the two. I actually think they're quite different. Maybe like towards the end where they realize that, oh hey, this person's my daughter, right? Like for Sojo, I was like, yeah, I've been taking care of Furuba all my life. Like I have to stop seeing her as someone, as like, I don't know, some other person's child, and more of like my daughter. And
Mm.
Dojima is like, oh yeah, I need to let go of the past and
Mm.
be present for my daughter. So I resonate with Dojima more. That's why
I
I
see.
think with Dojima it's like it's really heartbreaking what he goes through. But he's yeah, definitely he's not the best father figure. Yeah.
IDK, you got anything to add?
I'm just gonna say that at the end of Dojima's chain, like you get the rank 10, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you go down to the river with Nanako, and you're all having a good talk and a heartfelt discussion. When all of a sudden the cop comes running by and says, "Oh, Dojima, we have some thieves stealing shit," and he has to go running off to save the day, leaving you with Nanako at the riverside, and you both just go, "Have a good day." Like, I think that just sums up the whole thing about Dojima. He's a cool, badass detective dude who really unfortunately lost his wife at the absolute worst time, and he's had a really hard struggle raising Nanako. Like, he's tried to be there, but his job requires him to be away, and in terms of who is being the better father, it's gotta go to Sojiro. He's there. He's taking care of Furuba. He took care of her when she was being a recluse, and now he's being there for her father when she's now grown up and trying to change. Like, he's been there every step of the way. Like, he runs this little coffee shop when it definitely seems like he has way more skills to do other stuff. But he's like, I need a place where I can sit down, I can watch over this girl, and I can be absolutely free to tend to her needs whenever I have to be. Like, if Dojima wanted to be on that same level, he literally would have had to have left the police force and gone a regular job. So,
And
I
yeah,
yeah,
sorry, keep going. Sorry.
I had to give the fatherhood crown to Sojiro, but I still have to recognize Dojima's efforts and like still doing his. I assume he has a passion for being a police detective. That's why he's that, and still having his daughter and not completely abandoning her. Like he could have easily just pawned her off onto your parents as the MC and be like, yeah, you know what? She's not suitable to be with me. Go live with you in the city where you have a mom and a dad and a brother. Like he still wanted to take care of her. It's just not the best role model for that.
Mhm.
All right. So just to clarify my statement, I think by what I meant they were similar is that their roles are very similar. They're a father figure. They're reluctant to accept you, and they have a daughter. They have a daughter, Sojiro. You don't find out about Sojiro's daughter, until later in the game. But I think their roles are very similar, unlike a lot of these other social links. Like I think their roles and their personalities are quite similar.
Mhm.
But I do want to point out that Dojima and Sojiro both reacted very differently to when they found out about what you were doing behind the scenes. Dojima arrests you and nearly gets his daughter killed in the process by doing so. Meanwhile, when Sojiro finds out, he's like, "All right, only a fan thief can do that. I can't. Originally, I was not supportive of the fan thieves, but now, now that I see what you guys do, I am supportive." But the thing is, like, all the social links when they find out you're a because they find out you're the fan of these when they're like in like rank 9, and obviously they can't be really too critical of you, so maybe this might be a moot point. But they did handle the news quite differently.
I feel that for Dojima, he mm, he doesn't really find out about it, right? He only accepts it once Nanako is dying, and
No,
he's
I
like,
mean,
"You better catch this fool."
I mean he Remember, he arrests you because he thinks you have a connection to the crime. Remember? So that's the moment he finds out. But he doesn't know how you're connected, but he knows you're connected. So he just
I
arrests
see.
you, and then because he arrested you, Nanako gets kidnapped.
I see. I see.
Yeah, that's what I mean. All right, let's move on. The next one, I think, Juicy Samples' favorite, Lovers.
Oh.
Hmm.
All right, so let's see here. So unfortunately, oh, I see it. Okay, so the Lovers: attraction, love, beauty, trials overcome. And in some traditions, the lovers represent relationships and choices. Its appearance in the spread indicates some decision about an existing relationship, a temptation of the heart, or a choice of potential partners. And often an aspect of the fool's life will have to be sacrificed. And the associated members is going to be Rise from P4 and Anne from P5. And I do need to point this out. So now I'm reading from the Persona wiki. A commonality among individuals of the Lover's Arcana is their popularity, cheerfulness, and their emphasis on social interaction. Lovers' characters are almost always the popular ones. And the first female party member seen in the games is always the Lover's Arcana.
Hmm.
So you might think,
That
hold
makes
up.
sense.
You might think, hold up. In P4, you didn't meet Rise until the middle of the game.
But you do.
But you do. You see her on TV as you head to
Yes.
Europa. So,
Yes.
ho-ho.
No one can forget about the TV, okay? I never forget about the ads. Always gotta watch the ads.
The random ass ad, just the beginning of the game.
Okay.
Hey, you want to see a young girl in a bikini? Okay.
One more thing. Since Persona 3, the protagonist at some point gets the option to hug the female party member of the Lover's Arcana, either in a canon scene or in order to start dating the girl. Alright, discuss.
Obviously, with Persona 5, you get the option to hug Anne as she's literally breaking down tears
Yes.
as her best friend just left. And you can hug her and be like, "Don't worry, baby, you got me." And she's like, "What the fuck?" Okay. Most random, weird, awkward romance lock-in I've ever seen in my life. But you can do that.
Wait, for Anne?
Yep.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yep.
Literally, her best friend leaves and she's in tears and she asks you for comfort and you say, "You got me, baby." And she's like, "What?"
No, so literally,
Huh?
literally in the game, she's bawling her eyes out, and then you have the option to either become friends or relationship. Literally, that's when you make your choice whether you want to date her.
Yeah, it's just like the worst timing. It's the weirdest timing. Like, what? What? Like, okay, okay, all right, and then it just goes from there. But let me think. Persona 4, you get the chance to hug Rise.
I don't exactly remember where that is, but I would not be surprised if it really is true, though. Considering how much Rise has a hard on for you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You do get to hug her. You have to romance her, and you see her for the Christmas event. You invite her for the Christmas day, and she comes to your apartment, and you get to hug her. Yeah, that's right.
I think you hug Yukari during the lovers event, I believe. Like,
Makes sense.
you're both seduced by each other because of the shadow. But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think Lovers in general is pretty bland. I think Anne ekes it out just a little bit more because her story is a little more emotional, I would say. At least for Rise, yeah, I don't actually. No, I take that back. I think the internal conflict with Rise versus Anne's problem, which is her friend was at one point suicidal. That's what makes her a character in a way, but that's all she has really, and her social link story is pretty bad. So yeah, I I've turned around. I think Rise is better. Moving on.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I definitely like Rise more, but I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's just because in the Persona 5 cast, Anne wasn't the standout chick or standout female romance for me. It was just she never was. She was just she's there. She's the first girl as part of your party, and that's it. Like after that, there's her whole modeling thing, and her being kind of an airhead, and it's that's it. You know, not a very interesting character in my opinion. Whereas Rise, you have the whole sort of fallen idol timeline. She's trying to figure out who she is. Is she reset? Is she Rise? What does it mean to be one or the other? And you sort of help her sort that out. Even if in the end it means she goes back to being an idol, she's a more complete person. She's not this hollowed out, fake identity that she was forced to become because her relatives entered into her contest and she won and became an idol. There is something to be said about how thirsty she is. That turns off a lot of people to her because she is just so relentless. Like, and I will have to admit, it is a bit of an odd change in her character because you meet her and she's at the tofu shop and she's sort of just like depressed, and then she's like, "Oh, thanks for warning me," and then you save her and she's kind of like, she has problems. She seems like a normal girl. And then as soon as you save her and she becomes part of the party, like after the boss fight against Nega Teddy or whatever you want to call him, like she straight up just latches onto you and it's like, "Oh, hey, how you doing there, stud?" It's like, what? I did not expect that so quickly. She just really likes you out of nowhere. It's kind of odd.
So,
But if you're gonna ask me which one I like more, obviously it's Rise.
So yeah, as a character-wise, likability, I like Rise's better. But story-wise, I like Anne's struggle a little more than Rise's story. I think dealing with someone that one of your friends is trying to kill herself, I think is quite shocking. But in terms of likability, I like Rise a lot more. So I think this is one where someone has a better story, but I still end up liking the other character better. So Rise's so adorable, dude. She's just like she's got a heart on for you, dude. Like how is that? How is that? Come on.
Alright, so wait, one more thing. If you had to pick one of the two for your waifus, who is it?
Oh,
Who would it
absolutely,
be?
it's Rise, dude.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be Rise. She's a more fully fleshed lover character, I guess.
I'm sorry, both of those answers are wrong. It's
Hurry.
Anne.
It's
It's
Anne. You want a white
Anne.
Anne?
Anne is
She want
instant waifu between the two.
you want? Oh, okay, I get it. It's cause you want her to hold the whip, huh? You want her to hold the whip?
Yeah, let's not forget about the costumes, man. The outfits. Come on, man.
Whoa, hey, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, it sounds
And
like
for sure,
neither
waifu
of
status.
neither of you got to see the secret costume for Rise, which is belly dancer outfit. Shows off way more skin than Anne. Come on, she even admits it's fan service for her.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Clear the panther suit. You don't need to show any skin for that to be sexy. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, look up Rise's secret costume, okay?
All right. Enough of this. Let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to the next one. All right, the next one is the chariot, and in P4 the chariot character is Chie, and in P5 it's our boy Ryuji. So the interpretation is succor, providence, also war, triumph, presumption, vengeance, and trouble. And according to the chariot, the Persona wiki, They're typically very driven individuals who have a personal goal that they aim to achieve at any cost. Not uncommon for chariot characters to be short-tempered or aggressive.
Hmm. Why don't you go first, Kagros?
I mean, when I think of chariot, I don't need to read what the tarot says or anything like that. Like when I think of chariot, I think what was the character from Hearthstone? The War Song Commander, charge forward. Like OG War Song, the broken one. Just charge forward. All your small creatures have haste. All right, just go. Like God, that's a chariot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And definitely Chie, and I think Ryuji exemplifies that a lot more than Chie. Like Chie is just like steak. I want beef, feed me, just like in the animated cartoon. But Ryuji is definitely like he's a definition of charge forward, right? So obviously, with regards to that, Ryuji's better. With regards to the story, I think Chie is better. Although I think among all the party members, Chie probably has the weakest P4 story. But I still think Chie's story is still better than Ryuji's, especially when you find out later in another game that she becomes a cop because she wants justice, right? She wants to be on the side of justice. In terms of likability, Chie definitely edges out Ryuji. I think it's just on the fact that not only is Ryuji a complete, blockhead, but Chie is obviously a potential wife candidate. So obviously the writers put a little more effort in her. So I think for me, overall, Chie is better.
Can you give me a refresher on Chie's story?
So there's a gang of high schoolers that are basically beating up other high schoolers and taking their money. And so you run into this band a couple times, and then Chie wants to fight them, and then you kind of hold her back or stop the fights. And then eventually Chie learns that she doesn't want to stand by and do nothing, and that's just kind of the kind of person she is. That's her. That's basically her story, I believe, at least from what I remember.
Okay. Yeah, I think from the Arcana description, I think Ryuji fits the bill pretty well. But yeah, overall, I think she is more likable. Not because she's wifeable. Like, even if she were to be wifeable, I would not wife her. Like, she's like the lowest tier. She's like on. No, I'm not gonna say it. I was gonna say she's on the F tier, where Futaba is.
That's a low blow.
All I can say is that I'm disappointed in you. I'm very disappointed.
I can sense the salt is growing.
The salt is gonna grow, and we can discuss this when we get to the hermits.
Was it iron? Was it iron, tears, and nuts?
Salty nuts.
Salty nuts.
Yeah, chariots. They're a force of free will, and I honestly didn't have a problem with either character. Ryuji has an issue of saying, "Oh, really?" I think too much. He's a bonehead more often than Chie is, which I think is what dings him a bit in the eyes of some people. He's just too stupid. Whereas Chie is kind of like adorably dumb. It's just like, oh, you poor soul. Yeah, there. I know you like your martial arts. It's okay. She's adorkable, I guess. And putting Chie down at F tier, that's not very nice. I think she's clearly in the C tier, since her name starts with a C.
Yeah.
I definitely rate her higher than some of the other romances across.
Makoto.
Yeah, Makoto, but like more than that, I really didn't like from Persona 4. Eri from Persona 4, good God. I don't think Yumi's is that great either. But then if we're looking at Persona 5, like The detective, not detective, the reporter lady.
Yes, okay. I think honestly, the reporter lady is probably one of the worst. I think it is in the community. The community opinion is that she's probably the worst one in Persona 5.
Yeah, she's pretty bad. Like that was a total. Like if there's any blemish, if there's a reason why Persona 5 Royale has a 95% instead of a 90, or instead of like 100, it's because of her.
Let's we can discuss it when we get to the that
Yeah,
Arcana.
there's a lot to say about her because there's a lot to say.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep moving. So the next one is justice. Justice is equality, equity, rightness, probability. I don't know how to say that. Executive, triumph of the deserving side in law, and I'm going to read off the persona thing too because I think that description doesn't really fit the persona definition of justice. Commonly, characters of the Justice Arcana are concerned with matters of fairness and otherwise are very stoic individuals. In P4, Justice is Best Girl, Nanako. And in P5, it's our good friend, Akechi.
For some reason, I thought it was Saya, but no, it's Akechi.
Yeah, it's
Oh
Akechi.
man, they're both so pinnacle to the story. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand why Nanako is Justice.
I think Akechi fits Justice a lot more than Nanako does. I think Nanako was just kind of thrown in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment as well.
It is a little hard to justify Nanako. I mean, because
honestly,
she's the daughter of a cop.
I think
she-
Naoto should have been Justice.
She's pure, I guess. She
Wait,
sees.
say it again. Who should be Justice?
I think Naoto and Nanako should have been switched. Naoto should have been Justice and Nanako should have been Fortune.
Mm.
Anyway, sorry to cut you off, IDK. Go ahead.
No, it's. I'm thinking about the play through, and it's like, yeah, Nanako's justice because she's so pure. She sees things black and white. I mean,
Oh
her,
no.
her friggin' level is heaven.
Yeah, right. I think that's why they put her as Justice. They're like, oh, Nanako's is going to be heaven, so we'll just make her Justice because all the Justice personas are all angels.
Yeah, I mean that going to that sort of like, they're lazy developers. This is what they're gonna do. Boom. Okay, it's easy.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot to discuss about Akechi, but with regards to the theme, definitely Akechi beats Nanako. And comparing the two characters' story, and Akechi is a polarizing character. If you're gonna talk about Persona 5, Akechi is not a very liked character. But if you're talking about Royal, I think Akechi is probably everyone's favorite character because of Royal. So in this case, we're gonna talk about Royal because Persona 5 story, or the Royal, is a continuation of Persona 5. So I think Akechi's story is definitely like, I'm sorry, like Nanako's best girl, like she's best girl in P4, like hands down, there's no question. But Akechi, I'm sorry, but like Akechi is by far the best character in P3, P4, P5. There's no one that comes close. I don't think any character comes close. And I think for me the reason why I think he's the best character is because like you spend the entire game hating him. And then when he joins you in the royal part of the game, like he has fully embraced who he is. Like completely embraced it. And because he does, that makes him a very likable character. You're like, this guy spent the whole game, basically bullshitting you, and then he thinks, and then and he basically betrays you, and then you're like, this asshole needs to die. And then when he gets revealed in Royal, and he's like, it fully embraced the dark, fully embraced his shadow self, basically, and you're like, yes, he's finally who he says, or he's finally not lying to himself anymore. He went through a P4 awakening, basically, right? He faced his shadow self, and he is who he is, and he just completely, fully embraces it. And like I think like having that batshit crazy party member is something that it's a first for the Persona, at least in Persona 3, 4, and 5. And as a party member, I think that's what makes Akechi so good. And then like in the end, like he really sticks to his guns, and he's like, "You need to stop Maruki. Even though I'm a figment of your imagination, you absolutely need to stop him. I don't care if I die. Just fucking do it. I bow to no one. Like I will not be at the mercy of someone else." And I think like Akechi is such a great character in the royal part of the game for that reason. So I'm sorry, Nanako, but Akechi just takes it in all regards. This persona and like ability and everything, like the character, like just can't be beat.
I wish Akechi was in P4. Or I wish you had someone like Akechi in P4, where he's like close to your friends, it's like same age group, but then he betrays you, and then you hate him, but then you do 180, and then you love him back. I I think he would have fit in P4 pretty well. That's somewhat of a bummer, but I'm just thinking, like for each game respectively, the both characters in Justice are the best characters in their game. Without them, the game would mean nothing, like literally nothing, right? At least for I don't know. I think that makes a lot more sense for P4. I don't know about P5 honestly, because you never know who like. Just we talked about this last time, but like for P5, there isn't really like a direct goal you're heading towards. Like you're just trying to reform society, which is like um this nebulous thing, this like concept that you're trying to fix. Whereas with P4, you're like trying to find one individual, and there's a very direct goal that everyone's trying to get towards. And I think because of that, like I think P4 with the story is stronger in the sense, or like at least with how the story resolves itself, I think is stronger in that case. And I think because of that, and with Nanako, like Nanako is the one that makes that story worth being invested in. Whereas with Akechi, I don't know. Like I don't think I don't think I would lose interest if he didn't exist, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. It's an interesting question, but would the impact of Akechi be less if we had experienced something similar to him before? Like if you played P4 and there was an Akechi like him, or there's a character like him, and you go through that whole rigmarole, and then 8 years later, P5 comes out, and you see the same thing happening again, would he be as good?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it would weaken him. It'd be
The-
nice.
the-
It'd be
the
nice to
same
have that
with-
character.
Yeah. I was gonna say you could say the same thing for Nanako too, right? Like they had the same character for Nanako in P5.
Right.
Of course, that character in P5 wouldn't be good because it's already been done.
You see it coming. That's the problem. Like
Yeah,
I mean, like the shock in P4 was Nanako actually dying, right? But then in P5, the shock was from Akechi betraying you, right? So like it's shocking, but you can't you can't repeat it. Like I like Nanako dying. I think it was done in P3 though. A character dying, a close character to you dying was actually done in P3. So that's also important to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, one thing I love about Akechi is it's not that you didn't know that he was going to betray you, but it was more about you didn't know how the main characters would overcome that betrayal. I think that's the twist. That was so fun to watch. Yeah, I don't know. I think just because P5 is so much fresher in my mind, and it's so great to see this 180 where your hatred for him becomes love.
Yes.
and that's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
Like so, I I think yeah, definitely catchy. I would think he's the best character. S tier, God tier.
All right, let's keep going. The next up is the Hermit. Prudence, circumspection, also and especially treason, dissimulation, roguery, corruption. And according to the wiki, the characters share the commonality of placing themselves in situations that hide them from the public eye, and they'll hide away from others or act in more supportive roles rather than putting themselves in the spotlight. In P4, the Hermit was the Fox. In P5, the Hermit was Futaba.
Yeah, no argument. It's Futaba. Yeah, like the fox can't really. There is no redeeming quality except for it being clutch for the dungeons, but that's about it.
Mr. IDK.
I mean, is this even really a contest? The fox is just a bunch of fetch quests, and like it yips and runs around in a circle around you and then disappears. Like there's no talking to it. There's no real development except for like, okay, you finish up all the quests and the shrine is restored to its full glory, and the fox's shrine is pure gold. And then you get to see a little scene at the end on like the last day you're in town, where like you go to the temple to pray, and the fox appears, and the fox has multiple foxes. Like, oh, the fox had kits, and they all really like you. That's it. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Good. I mean that's great. I mean, there's nothing compared to Futaba and her story and her character. It's like the fox is there to give you a reason to spend your money for healing in dungeons, because when you leave a dungeon, you don't get fully replenished like you do in 3 and 5. That's it.
Yep. So yeah, definitely. I think there's no question here. Futaba is just the better character, regardless, across the spectrum, because the fox isn't really a character. It's just a quest giver, and heals you in the dungeon. All right, let's just move on to the next one. There's no reason for me to try to lift the Futaba flag here, because the competition is so weak. I'd rather save it for another time when I can flex on something else that's better.
We'll flex that muscle, and maybe after we go through all the social links.
All right, the next one is Fortune. In P4 it's Naoto. In P5 it's Chihaya. And so I'm gonna read the. So according to this, it represents destiny, fortune, success, elevation, luck, felicity. And let me see here if there's anything else here. So a common aspect to most interpretations of this card within a reading is to introduce an element of change in the fool's life. Such change being in station, position, or fortune, such as the rich becoming poor or the poor becoming rich. And the Persona wiki description is that human characters of the Fortune Arcana are usually individuals who attempt to seize their own destiny in spite of fate, and are typically involved with making important choices and decisions in response to what life throws at them.
Why don't you go first, Kagros?
Alright. So I think with regards to representing the Link, definitely Chihaya is definitely a lot stronger. I didn't understand why Naoto was Fortune, but Chihaya is literally a fortune teller. And so I think with regards to that, she fits it better. And I actually like Chihaya's story a lot more. Like, come on, Chihaya's story starts with her scamming you and taking away, what is it, 100,000? Was it 100,000? I think it's 100,000. She took away 100,000 yen from you, dude. Like, what the hell? That's a very expensive social link.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and I think that while Naoto, I think I actually like Chihaya's character more than Naoto, but I like Naoto's story a little better. Chihaya starting, you know, like she has a real like they portrayed her as like a country bumpkin, and like Chihaya is definitely like she's a fortune teller, and she said like she was basically she thought she was cursed, and then she met you and you had the power to overturn fate, because you had access to mementos, and you had a way to change people's heart to break destiny, and then ultimately you change her mind about fate being fixed. Naoto, the reason why Naoto was associated with fortune, I believe, is because she thought that she couldn't become a detective because she was basically female, and because of that she's like I'm going to become a man, and eventually she learns through her all basically everything that it doesn't matter your gender. If you want to do something, you should just do it. you know so I think both of them kind of represent the both stories kind of represent the arcana a little differently, but they do represent it. But with regards, I think Chihaya is definitely more relevant just because she's a fortune teller. But like Naoto's story, I think, is a little more personal. I think, and because of that, it's better. I do like Chihaya more though.
Yeah, I'm on board. I like Chihaya's story more. I think I I forgot about the fact that she, states her fate, and she tells you that you can't change it because
Yeah.
it's what's given to you. That's what's dealt to you. But you go ahead and change it anyways. And yeah, that's really cool. Like you're not bounded by your destiny. Um, and I think overall it's more about perspective as well, right?
Yep.
Because isn't it aren't the cards still true, but it's just like it was just read in a different perspective?
I believe so.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I do like Naoto's story arc in the game, but her social link is pretty weak. Um, and then overall, like, yeah, for both characters, the Japanese voiceover is better, is superior than English for sure. Superior.
Mr. IDK, anything you would like to talk about regarding this?
Hmm. It's. I'm actually not as fond of Chihaya as I am of Naoto. I actually like Naoto more. I can
Nice.
agree that her social link isn't that crazy amazing. Uh, but her romance stuff I think is better, and I like the special events with her. And Chihaya's too country girl for me. It's too close to home. So like, yeah, it's just personal preference there. Like maybe she's a better character, maybe she has the better abilities and stuff. But like, I just like Naoto more. That's all.
Alrighty, the next one is strength.
Before you
Oh,
continue, IDK, I agree with you. If you want to ship something, you gotta ship Naoto and Kanji.
oh, absolutely,
That's the perfect dynamic right there.
absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree.
I mean, you can ship him all you want, but Naruto seems to have no feelings for him. That's why I swoop in and steal her. Ha ha!
All right, the next one is strength, represented by power, energy, action, courage, magnanimity, mag- I don't know how to say that word, and also complete success and honors. And the two characters are it's going to be the student athletes from Persona 4. So this is one of the ones where there's multiple options. And then in 5, it's Carolyn and Justine. And a commonality between, according to the Persona Wiki, a commonality between characters of the Strength Arcana is their strength of heart. And strength characters are not upset easily, and typically portray the fortitude that the Strength card represents in readings.
I don't get it. I don't think they're both. I don't think they both fit. Are all four of them? I don't think they fit the strength arcana. I think it doesn't represent like duality in any way, which is what Caroline and Justine are. The only strength they have is just being rude and mean to you. So, uh, but still, for that, I have a really soft spot for them because they remind me of Nanako, and they're just so cute. So,
Hold up. I
I'm
think
gonna pick those two.
I think a better representation of Nanako is actually the final form, Lavenza. She is the Nanako. Is that how you say her name? Lavenza?
Yeah,
Love it. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I mean, you
Lavenza,
don't
dude.
spend too much time with her, so I would. It's hard for me to really like her.
The only thing you need to know about Lavenza is a little walk she does when you go into the velvet room. Like when she stands next to the door and you go into the velvet room, and then as you walk in, she kind of does like this 180 twirl, and then she follows you in. Like it's you should watch it. I like it a lot. I like the animation a lot.
She holds your hand, right? As you go in?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I thought she does.
Yeah, all right, hold up. I'm.
Maybe.
Let me go. Let me pull this up.
She is very adorable. And there is also the fact that if you max your confidant, and then, well, wait, no, you have to be in New Game Plus, and you beat the secret boss, which is the two twins, and then you max their confidant, so you have the secret item, and then when you talk to Lavenza at the end of the game, she will tell you she loves you.
Yes.
You know who else says I love you?
That makes it worth it. And that makes it worth it. She's like, "You're the best family from the whole world. I love you." It's like, oh my, what a little cutie pie.
Yeah. So I didn't actually finish the Strength Arcana in this game in P4, so I can't comment on the story. But it wasn't a very compelling story. At least
I mean,
I picked Ko, the basketball guy, and it wasn't really compelling to me.
dude, basketball guy is literally just for the memes. He loves rubbing them balls.
Yes, he does love rubbing them balls.
That's about it. That's all I know about him. He's strength.
Yeah, I don't think strength is well represented in the Persona games.
I think it's literally like, oh, we need we need to assign this character a turret, or we need to use this turret. Who we put it on? Just put it on whoever we have left. I mean, yeah, it's whatever. It's not really that important.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think it's the worst Arcana. It's one of the worst ones, but I don't think it's the worst one. We'll get into my worst one when we get there. All right, let's continue then, shall we? The Hanged Man is next. Let me pull up the definition here. And in P4, the Hanged Man is Naoki. And then in P5, it's EY.
Who's
And
Naoki?
He is Saki's brother.
Oh, okay.
So the Hanged Man represents wisdom, circumspection, discernment, trials, sacrifice, intuition, divination, and prophecy. And in the Persona Wiki, Hangman characters are sometimes self-sacrificial, but are more often notable for being caught between two different extremes, parties, or stages in life.
I don't know too much about Saki's brother, but isn't it more or less about him coping with her death, and does it have to do with like taking over the store?
So it just has to do with coping with the death, but the one thing is that basically everyone pities him, so he basically gets a free pass for everything, and he doesn't like it. It makes him very uncomfortable. He doesn't want to be pitied for the rest of his life like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with that regard, he is definitely stuck. In between is a very difficult part of his life right now, because he's basically literally stuck between life and death. Right? Like his sister passed away, but he's still alive. And I think one of the best parts of his social link was when he mentioned the frozen yogurt in the fridge.
Yeah.
Dude, that shit was so heartbreaking, dude. I was like, damn, dude, like that really hits really hard, right?
Yeah.
Because so I don't know if you remember Juicy, but there's a scene. I don't know what level. I think it's like level 8 or level 9, where Naoki mentions that when Saki was alive, she would keep stealing Naoki's yogurt, frozen yogurt, and she would say, "Oh, it's gonna go bad," and then and then he's like, "Just the other day, I found some frozen yogurt in the freezer, and it was past the expiration date." So, and then I'm like, "Oh fuck, damn, that's." And then he's like, "I can't help but be reminded of how she said she would eat them, so that she came up with the excuse, but that excuse came back, and then it really did go bad." Who's it basically parallels I think it kind of parallels the whole Shion death scene in Kingdom Hearts 3 when Roxas says, who am I going to eat ice cream with?" So that line in Persona 4, I was like, oh dang.
Yeah, it seems like story alone, it's gotta be Saki's brother, right? I don't even know his name. Sorry,
Naoki.
I forget.
Naoki.
No.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, with EY, he's just this cool like
Yakuza
ex
guy.
Yakuza, and it's not that interesting, honestly. It talks about him trying to protect his son, but then his son's like, I can deal with this. I guess, was it like that?
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I liked EY more because I actually went through his story, and Naoki's kind of a little bitch in the beginning. So like, almost, almost,
Absolutely.
almost like it sort of like drives you away from him. It's like, wow, really? You're gonna treat me this way? It's like, I'm not gonna fucking do you. It's like, but yeah, going through Naoki and seeing his full thing go through, it's like there's way more development character-wise for him than there was for UI. UI just goes from being like this badass Yakuza stuck in a really terrible position to a badass Yakuza who now is free of his past and can live with his son peacefully. That's about it.
Mm.
Yeah. So I think EY is very the story. The social link is similar to Sojiro's social link, right? I think they both want the best for their child. And in that regard, that's kind of what I mean, and and they kind of want to shield them from the past. Whereas, and the same thing with Dojima too, right? I think the stories are. It's basically a parent, they want to protect their kid, with regards to that. So I think it's and then how they do that is the difference between the characters. But yeah. All right. Anything else?
Nah.
No.
All right. Let's move on to the next one. Death. In P4, it's Hisano. In P5, it's Takemi. And Death. The interpret. Oh. Okay. So. It typically implies an end, possibly of a relationship or interest, and therefore an increased sense of self-awareness. And yeah, so death actually represents an end, according to the tarot. And let me see. And the card signifies in any subject one is inquiring about giving up all that is superficial and concentrating on what is basic, fundamental, and truly important in the specific matter one is asking about. Now, in the persona description, it's characters of the Death Archon are associated directly with death, but a commonality that connects all death characters is the cycles of changes they experience.
Yeah, I feel like Persona 4 has this general theme of just being really sad. I think a lot of the stories are pretty sad. I'm not saying that P5 isn't sad. Like I think with Takemi, that's her name.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought of her as just like that badass doctor. But yeah, her story is interesting because like she's kind of tricked into feeling bad, and I feel like that doesn't, I don't know, that doesn't resonate very well. Whereas with the Persona 4 character, she like talks about her life story and talked about her husband who then had amnesia, and she was it that she wished for him to pass away, to die.
Yep.
And yeah, that's like, man, oof. And then she calls herself Death, and it's like, yeah, no, I mean both of them. I think at one point they reference themselves as Death, so and it makes sense. But yeah, I think overall, I think I like P4 for the story, but P5 for just the character, because yeah, I like the Doctor.
IDK.
Yeah, I mean, he hit on all the essential points. I think the essence of death was much stronger with uh, the old lady in Persona 4. Like her story is just much harder hitting than Takemi's, but uh, Persona 5, it's Takemi's more of an appealing character, I think. That's all. With a stronger, happy end to it.
Well, I did wife Takemi in my original P5 playthrough, so that kind of tells you how I feel about her character. I like her character a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and she is similar to Sayoko, the story wise in P4. The main storyline is pretty similar, but Takemi's story is a lot more fleshed out because you get to hear more about her feelings and how she feels about it. But Hisano's story, I think, very, very clearly captures the Death Arcana a lot stronger. She literally, like Juicy said, she said, "I am Death," and she's dressed in the mourning garb the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And Hisano's story, I think, is probably the best written of the social links in P4. I think I don't think anyone comes close. Just the emotional depth of it, and the it doesn't only tackle just one controversial subject. I think it tackles two. Not only does it tackle like Alzheimer's, but it also talks about was it euthanasia? Is that the right word? I think yeah, euthanasia, where she just wanted him to die. Like euthanasia is putting someone out of their misery, and I think she definitely felt that she definitely wanted that to happen. And I just think that Hisano's story, for a social link, just for the social link story, I don't think it's going to be very hard for Alice to top a story like that, in my opinion.
Yeah, it just dawned on me. I keep forgetting, like the overarching theme of Persona 5 at least is it's about people being lied to and being deceived,
Yeah.
and not that they're overcoming that, but they're revealing the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for Persona 4, a lot of it's like resolving that internal struggle and conflict, and not being true to yourself.
Yes.
So I think because of that theme, I think Persona 4 is definitely more easily like resonated with.
Yeah.
But still, it doesn't mean that Persona 5 has bad stories.
I'm not knocking on Takemi's story. I think her Takemi's, and like you said, it's literally standing up against medical malpractice, right?
Yeah.
That's her story, right? It's standing up, which is that's definitely a good story. But Hisano's story is just, like I said, I don't think this story can be topped. This social link can't be topped. The story they wrote for the social link, there's no way I don't think it's going to be really hard to make a better story, because not only is the story good and the topics are controversial and it's good to discuss, but like that story in the Death Arcana like it's just such a flavor win as well. Like it ties to the tarot card very well.
Was she your first one that you maxed out?
Yes, Hisano was
Hmm.
the first link I maxed out on P4. Absolutely. I think I
Nice.
mentioned this when I was playing when IDK was watching. I was like, hey, this is my first. How fitting that my first social links to max out is Death. In P5, Takemi was one of the first ones that maxed out, but I think I maxed out Moon first because Moon, I need that bonus DXP, man.
Mm.
I need to even level my party. All right, now let's move on to the next one, which is
Wait, before.
Oh.
Sorry. How many do we have more left?
we're on Def is 13 out of 20.
Okay. So we're almost there.
Yeah. All right, so Temperance is the next one.
Oh yes.
It's the MILF in P4, Eri, and in P5, it's your teacher, Kawakami, and it represents economy, moderation, being frugal, management, accommodation, and according to according to the Persona Wiki, characters of the Temperance Arcana are often struggling to find a balance in their lives and in their hobbies.
Can you give us a refresher on P4's story?
Unfortunately, I never finished that one either.
I think it goes to show.
Yes. So here's my guess. IDK might know, but let me see if I'm correct. So I got to level 5. So it's the MILF, Eri, has trouble connecting with her stepson.
Yes.
And of course, the father isn't around because after the father married the stepmother, he decided to get the hell out of the country and left the stepmother to take care of his kid. First of all, what the heck? What? Anyways,
Wow.
and then they have trouble working together and communicating, and neither the child or the mother know how to. They don't want to be the first one to reach out, basically. Then eventually, through your help, they bond over Featherman, and my guess is that at the end of the story, it involves them. It involves Eri accepting the role that this is my child now, and they get along now. That's my guess.
Yeah,
IDK?
that's about it. Like, I literally just remember the beginning of it, and I remember the end of it. Basically, her final thing is confirming that she wants to take care of the boy, and that she now knows what she needs to do to be a good mother for him. And literally, at the end of the game, just like when you go to see her, she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do my best to raise him properly, and thank you for all your help. Goodbye." And that's it. Okay. It's nothing really special. It's an easily missable social link. Definitely not on the same level as Kawakami.
You mean Becky?
I mean, best girl.
I mean,
Who's not actually a girl. She's a full-grown woman. Like, Jesus Christ, what are you doing, man?
Your favorite IDK?
No, not my favorite at all. I mean,
she's all our favorites. Come on, dude. Like, dude, her massages are heavenly.
Thank you for letting me do more stuff. But like, I'm a 17-year-old boy. I'm not looking for someone that over the hill,
Dude, I'm just gonna be honest. Like Kawakami, like the entire scenario, it's just straight out of a porno, dude. It's just it's out of a porno or it's from an ecchi manga, basically. Like, dude, what kind of teacher? First of all, like, what kind of teacher gives her students massages, dude? What the heck? What kind of like?
Well, first of all, she's not a teacher. She's a maid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
She's always going to be a maid of honor. Ooh. No wedding bells for that, baby.
Kawakami. P5. very clutch. P5R, not so very clutch.
Yes, I agree.
But in terms of story, like, I think Kawakami's is the better one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Has more highs, more lows.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just a more interesting character.
Kawakami's story is just wish fulfillment. That's what it is. But it's like both of them are kind of trying to strike a balance, based going back to the temperance theme. Kawakami is just more likable. I don't really care much about Aries. She was the lowest one. I didn't even come close to maxing her.
Yeah, pretty much. Next.
All right, the next one is the Devil.
Oh boy.
All right, P4.
Oh yeah.
P4 it's Sayoko, and in P5 it's Oya. The Devil represents ravage, violence, vehemence, extraordinary efforts, force, fatality, that which is predestined but is not for this reason evil. And I think it's and the card represents being seduced by the material world and physical pleasures, lust for and an obsession with money and power. Also, living in fear, domination and bondage, being caged by an overabundance of luxury. Discretion should be used in personal and business matters. On the Persona Wiki, human characters are often devilish individuals. They can be greedy, proud, lustful, or otherwise of poor character. And then it's not uncommon for the type of character to have somewhat of an antisocial tendency, often not caring much for the needs or well-being of others. Although this is true, they are also characters that are committed to a cause, usually being their work. Alright, so I'm going to start off then this time. The Devil, in my opinion, is the worst Arcana represented in this game. This one, we said Strength was pretty bad, but I think Devil's even worse. Especially if you only look at P4 and P5. Like, let me tell you, the best Devil definitely is Tanaka in P3. Like, you don't even need to know much about the character. He is definitely the best Devil. There is no question about it. Like, Sayoko, the only reason why she's a devil is because she tries to flirt with you at the beginning of the social link. After that, her story has nothing to do with the devil. And Onya, I have no idea how she is related to the devil, other than she's being committed to work. Yeah.
I think if I can jump in here with Sayoko, it's definitely because she cheated on. Well, she had an affair with a doctor.
Yes, right.
And caused a divorce between him and the wife, and so she was dealing with those sort of darker things, and she was falling for certain vices, I guess. Lust, and then power when she wanted to be more productive at the hospital, I guess. When she started becoming like a sort of power crazy tyrant over the other nurses. Oh yeah, is an oh no.
She's a mess, dude. Her story, everything's a mess.
She has like the vice of sloth, I guess, if you want to call it that. It's like she's really lazy when she's at the bar. She's constantly drinking her woes away, and her story in and itself actually wasn't that bad. When I played through P5 the first time and actually maxed, did I max her? Yeah, I think I maxed her. It's a compelling enough story, but her actual character itself is just kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of weird.
It's nothing. It's like
she's just an older lady who has issues with her bosses and is trying to help her friend and drinks too much. Like, honestly, it should have been a duo between her and Lala. It would have been way more interesting. Also, would have been nice if they'd gone with her original design, not this weirdo one they made for her. Anyone who's curious about this, you should look up what her original design was, her prototype, because she looked a hell of a lot like Emma Skye from Ace Attorney. And it would have been super amazing. But then for some reason they decided to make her look like an old woman who drinks too much. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. These characters are pretty garbo, for the exception of Tanaka. You gotta shout out Tanaka, man. Absolutely. I totally forgot. He is by far like pretty top tier, like probably on the same tier as Igor, just because he has his own thematic music,
Yes, he does.
He does.
and it is banging, and it crosses over multiple Persona games.
Yeah.
So that alone, like he is definitely top tier. I totally forgot that he was the devil at in P3, but it makes sense too. Like, don't you have to like? Doesn't he ask you for money that you can give him?
I think he does ask you for investment money to invest in his business or
Yes,
something.
he does. He does. He swindles you out of a large sum of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the epitome of devil, if anything.
Yeah. He literally. No, continue.
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, it puts P4 and P5 to shame.
Yeah, I really think he was the pinnacle of design for the devil, and like they couldn't think of anything more than
Japanese businessman.
anything better than him. And even to the fact that he's such a boss that if you play your cards right, you can start up your confidant with him on the last day before you're supposed to go fight the final boss in Persona 3. And he can basically just skip over the final boss using him.
Yep. It's a bug.
It's a bug.
Yeah.
You literally jump over from the last day to the first day of like the new semester or whatever.
Yep.
You just skip the entire ending. He pays Nix $100 to go fuck off. Here's 1,000 yen. Get the fuck out of my face. He's the true ultimate evil.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. The next one is the tower, and the tower is Shu in P4. The the little shithead.
The nerdy tutor me boy.
Yep. And then it's Shinya in P5. And the tower is misery, distress, indignance, adversity, calamity, disgrace, deception, ruin. It is a card in particular of unseen catastrophe. And human characters and persona. Human characters of the Tower Arcana can be arrogant and typically find themselves in bad situations where they themselves have fallen from grace.
Just imagine if what's the P5 kid's name again?
Shinya.
Shinya.
Shinya. Imagine if Shinya and Oya swapped. I feel like that would be so interesting. But regardless, Persona 5.
Switch Arcanas?
Yeah.
Yeah. If they switch Arcanas, yeah.
I think that actually would be a good fit. I think that actually would probably be a better fit.
Yeah.
Actually,
I think it would be a good fit if Shinya ended up being cheating. If he ended up was cheating in his games.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would definitely he would be a devil. And then Onya obviously fall from grace. It makes a lot of sense.
And it's also because I really don't like him, and he's just like kind of like, I don't know, not dipshit, because he is a good kid, but I just think, or maybe it's just a VO. At least for the English VO, it's pretty bad. For the Japanese VO, it's like just any other young sounding kid.
Yeah.
So I think because of that, and I do kind of remember P4's story with the kid, and just his struggle with his mom and having that pressure of being a top student when he's not.
Yeah.
So I think for that it's more interesting.
Yeah, they're both pretty similar in their mother issues. But whereas
Right.
the P4 guy is kind of like, it comes to a head and resolves itself by him cheating and getting caught and having that facade finally break. Then coming to terms with his mom and like realizing that he just wants to be a regular dude. Like, it's probably a stronger story than P5. Shinya's whole conflict is, what even is his whole conflict?
He got beat by someone, and then and then he's pretty sure that he's cheating.
Is that it? Was that really it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know.
And then eventually he beats him, I believe, and I'm not sure if, let me see.
For Shinya, right?
Yeah, for Shinya, yeah.
So the story is, well, there's like kind of a side story of him having to beat this like streamer guy who's really good, but you find out that he's
He is
cheating,
cheating.
and
Yes.
then
Yeah.
like the kid is going through some stuff where he's bullying other kids
Yep.
for their money so he could play some more.
Hmm.
That's about it. And then like the other one is how like the kids feeling neglected. Um, I think that's it.
No, I mean the thing is like all the behaviors of him bullying others comes from his mom. That's the
Oh,
effed
right.
up
And then
part.
you change. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
then you
Yeah, his
change her
mom.
heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah, it's honestly my first like. I don't think I maxed him my first playthrough. It was on my second playthrough I maxed him, and like I enjoyed him as being like the little brother character, but uh, I don't think his story is better than P4's. P4's is just much more solidly built. I think Shinya has a more appealing character design than was it Shu?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like his character. Like P4, it goes back to the P4 issue of like some of the side characters are really, in my opinion, frankly ugly. Like P5 has a lot better designed, prettier side characters. So, but in terms of story, Shu's is probably better.
So I'm gonna have to disagree with both of you here. I actually like Shinya better than Shu's story. I think I think one big part about Shinya that is definitely overlooked is the fact that he is a Phantom Thief fan. He's a fan of you guys, and I think having I think the for me I really enjoyed the fanboy part of his side. He's like, I matter. What I'm doing. If I teach you how to be, if I teach you how to do guns, will it help? Will it help out the Phantom Thieves? And you're like, yes, it will. And like I think he's like your number. Other than Mishima, he's probably your number two supporter, right?
Hmm.
And I think that definitely plays into a lot. And and you need to remember like this kid, he actually looks up to you too. Like you are actually he looks up to you because you are a Phantom Thief, or
Hmm.
you're connected to the Phantom Thieves, and obviously he figures out that you are the Phantom Thief yourself. And I
Hmm.
think there is a lot of merit to that. So I actually enjoy his story a lot because there is no other character other than Mishima who is a direct supporter of the Phantom Thieves. And Shu, I actually didn't like his character at all. And I think Shinya's relationship with his mom was definitely like, I can't believe there are parents like that. And definitely highlights to show that the kids really take from after their parents.
Yeah, that's true. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, he really is like your biggest fan.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's go on to the next one. Star, starring Teddy and Hifumi. Star, loss, theft, privation, abandonment. Another reading says hope, bright prospects. And according to Persona, characters of the Star Arcana embody the Arcana's traits of hopefulness, and joy.
In terms of prospects, yeah, I think I think for P5 it makes more sense. Um, just because it seems like she can, be a was it what's that game?
Shogi.
Shogi,
Yeah.
like a shogi like master. But what does she end up being at the end?
No, her mom wants her to be a model that plays shogi. Basically, her mom wants to use her shogi to jumpstart basically her like modeling career. But then
Yeah,
she just wants to be a good shogi player.
yeah. But do you find out that she's not even that good,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Because
She
players
probably.
have been throwing.
Yep. Yep.
Um, it's kind of sad, but
Yeah.
and then who's the other one? Oh, and then Teddy
Teddy, of course.
prospects.
So I think both of them kind of represent the star quite well. You know, Teddy wants to be human, right? He's hopeful he'll be human, and Hifumi obviously has aspirations for her own shogi career.
Yeah.
I do believe I actually like Hifumi better than Teddy. I like Hifumi's character a lot better than Teddy's character. I think you know, one of the reasons why people like Makoto is because of her, cool headedness, and I think Hifumi definitely does that part of the personality a lot better. She's very composed, and other than and like when she gets into the shogi game, she calls it out like a shonen manga. She calls out these weird moves like dragon takes the fortress, or like from Jackie Chan Adventures. What is it? Crow.
Chicken!
Angry crow. No, angry crow takes flight. My boy Hawk Fu. Like that's
Oh,
basically Hifumi.
Let me ask you this. Would your feelings change if Hifumi was a guy instead?
I think Hifumi was a guy. She'd be way too similar to. She'd be very similar to Yusuke. I think Hifumi is the female version of Yusuke. I think they're very similar. But yes, that is a good point to make.
Yeah, I think for Teddy it's I feel like it's unfair to compare the two just because Teddy's always with you and there's a lot more story
Yeah.
going on with Teddy and a lot of like banter going on.
Yep.
mhm.
And I think I naturally like Teddy more. And I'm not saying that Teddy is a likable character. um, although VO is spot on, at least for English and Japanese. I think they're both really good. Uh, yeah, I do like Teddy at the end, and I think he is somewhat like a template for Morgana.
Hmm.
Uh,
I mean,
so
they are the
you got to pay some respects.
they are the mascot characters. They are the mascot characters. So
Mascot
that's
characters,
definitely
yeah.
fair.
So yeah.
Alrighty. The next one is the moon. Represents hidden enemies, danger, darkness, terror, deceit, occult forces. And the card represents life of the imagination apart from life of the spirit. And according to the Persona Wiki, characters who are of the Moon Arcana are often similarly psychically attuned, but a more common trend is their projection of their own fears and faults onto others, namely the protagonist. They often tend to have trouble accepting themselves for who they are, and because of that fear, they try to correspond to an ideal person. And there is a hidden depth as to why they act in their behaviors. And P4, the character is I, and P5, the character is Mishima.
I don't know I very well, and I think IDK said that she's a bitch. Was it?
I'm
So,
not fond of her character.
but I thought she had a pretty good story.
Yeah, I'll give her that. I did not like her first appearances, and if I were playing, I would not have given her any more time. I would just left her to simply rot. But watching people play through P4 Golden again, and watch them actually pursue her and get through her whole storyline, it actually does resolve in an actually very satisfying way. And she actually learns from her mistakes, becomes a much better person. I just never would have given her the chance. So, uh, kudos to that. She's like 50-50. Like, I enjoy her some parts, and I hate other parts.
And then versus Mishima, you're kind of forced to have like max his social link because not does he like share. Not only does he share EXP with everyone, but uh, I think story wise, he's pretty embedded with the story. At least in the beginning and towards the middle as well.
Yeah. He
But
actually.
he's
Yeah.
good.
No, sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I was just gonna say like yeah, he is the Phantom Thieves in terms of the social oppression.
Yep. Not only is he probably the most useful social link, one of the most useful ones, but he's also the easiest one because when he's ready to be like every time you can spend time with him, then you can level him up. You don't need to spend any extra time with him. You only need like basically 10 time slots to spend with him, and then it's maxed out, unlike other people.
True.
So you kind of have to do it for the utility. Utility wise, maxing Mishima is probably the right thing to do, but his story is very very bland. He's just basically I'm a fanboy, and because I am a fanboy, I matter, and then he finds out he doesn't matter, and then he's like I'll become stronger in my own way. That's basically his story.
I think that's pretty good, though. Not to say that he's a fanboy. He's also he sees himself as a Phantom Thief as well.
Yes, exactly. And
So he gets his ego just
yeah,
explodes.
yeah.
I actually like that about him.
Yeah. So I'm not saying the story's bad, but it's relatively ordinary. It's pretty common. The story's very common, I would say.
Yeah.
It's basically like your typical sidekick story in a comic, right? It's your typical sidekicks where their ego gets inflated, and then they feel like they're inferior to the protagonist, and it kind of sucks, but yeah. But then Ebihara, she actually has quite a bit of depth, beyond what she thinks, what you might think of her at the beginning, and she talks about herself where she's like, especially like where she says that I thought if I made myself pretty, right, then obviously people would look up to me, but then she realizes that looks are not everything. She's a high schooler, they're learning about this stuff, so I think both of them fit the mood quite well.
Yeah.
But,
I'm starting to remember her story about her being fat, right?
yes, yeah. So then she was like, if I become pretty, then people want to spend time with me or something like that. It's a very superficial way to look at it. But, yeah. But I think both of their stories are not very strong, but they do fit the theme. And
Yeah.
I have to give I the edge on this one, because I is a unique character in P4 that can be ranked down, and the social link can be permanently broken.
Ooh.
And she is the hardest person to romance, because she literally has a trap in her social links. So you get a chance to romance her at the early level, but if you take that, it's a honey trap, and you actually never can't end up with her. But if you wait,
Really?
yes, but if you wait till the end, then you can enter a permanent relationship with her.
Does it when you romance them? Does it mean that you're maxing them out as well?
No. It's different, because in the P4, if you romance, I mean, I is different. It's the only one where that you romance her and it ends up being a pump fake. But there's the other people that are romanceable. They're not necessarily at like 9 or 10. I think some of them are like 7 or 8.
I see.
Yeah. All right. Now the next one, the Sun Arcana, which is one of my favorites in terms of gameplay, because it has my favorite skill, growth. Oh man, like if I fuse a Sun persona, I guarantee you I'm transferring growth. Growth 1, growth 2, growth 3 don't matter. It's being transferred. I don't know about you guys. Alright, so this card is generally considered positive. It is said to reflect happiness and contentment, vitality, self-confidence, and success. Sometimes referred to the best card in the tarot, it represents good things and positive outcomes to current struggles. I mean, it's definitely the best persona, because it has growth. So characters of the Sun Arcana almost always find themselves in terrible situations. The situation belying the underlying optimism present in nearly all of them. Also, as the Sun Arcana portrays accomplishment, some of these characters have deep thoughts about the meaning of life and manage to find their answers. In P4, the Sun Arcana is either Yumi or Ayane, the drama club member or the band club member. And in P5, it's Terunosuke, aka Japanese Bernie Sanders.
What's his full name?
Terunosuke Yoshida.
Yoshida.
Yoshida, yeah, sorry, I should have said
Yeah,
that.
you call him Yoshida,
Yoshida, yeah.
That teriyaki sauce, Yoshida, hands down. Regardless of what Arcana he is, I actually like the story a lot, and I felt like he's No, I shouldn't say that he's the only one, but definitely has a redemption arc in a way, where he redeems himself and
I don't think
he's not.
redeem. I don't think redeem is the right. Is it? Is it redeem or he comes back into Actually, yeah, you're right. I think he did do something terrible in the past, right? Which caused him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where he
embezzled money. Was it embezzlement?
yeah, he embezzled money. I forget what his name was, like Dirty Yoshida or like Sneaky Yoshida or something like that. He had a nickname.
No good Torah.
No Good
No,
Torah. There you go. Um, but yeah, he was able to redeem himself and you know have his voice heard. He was mostly positive at times, but he definitely lacked some confidence. But that's where you step in as MC and you back him up, and yeah, he just like reassures himself, and he knows he knows where to go, and he does what he thinks is right. So I really like him as a character. About growth, you do not need growth because you'll be fusioning all the time, and if you max out your social links, you don't need to grind. That's all I have to say.
I mean, first off, okay, all right. P5 has the bus. P5R has the bus. So in the end, you actually don't need it anyway. You don't need growth. I'm just talking about. I use growth a lot in the early and middle game when your social links are not maxed out. It just makes it easier for me to have multiple strong fused personas because I don't need to keep changing, switching them up. And I have this thing where I basically only fuse personas once they learn all their moves. So having growth definitely makes that a lot easier. Definitely, even in the late game, your personas won't learn all their moves, even at max social links, especially with the higher ones. So growth really helps with that too, even at the late game. There's some utility to it,
Yeah.
but I mean you have to bust. So in P4, I definitely think you need it, but in P5R, nah, you don't need it. In the late game, you don't need it. Just bust.
The thing is that I did pay Igor a lot of money to fuse like higher level personas.
Mm.
It was still pretty challenging. Maybe I could have used growth. Now that I think about it.
So, anyways, I think Torinosuke was actually one of my favorite characters in P5. I really like the story, and I think that I think the message in P5 about society, I think, is people might say it's political, and I do think that including Torinosuke, was definitely a good foil for that as well because it's a politician, and I think someone definitely in the Atlas writing team has leans that way, and I actually really liked it a lot because I think it was their way of subtly saying that if we want to fix these problems in society, we need to have we need to think like this, and I think it's a commentary on Japanese government, which is dominated primarily by older men, and then Teranosuke's message of the young people, we need to listen to our young people. I think definitely resonates with me personally as well, even though yeah, and the P4 social links regarding this, Ayane here, according to IDK, is really weak, and even Yumi's story, like I mentioned before in the last podcast, Yumi, I think Yumi was the one where literally level 8 is you see her and then she doesn't say anything. She says, "I want to be left alone," and then the social link literally levels up, saying that you understand Yumi a little better.
Yumi's is such a troll because like you can literally choose to walk out on her or something, and so then she'll end up saying, "Wow, my father ends up dying, so I lose my father, and now the guy like walks out on me, so I lose another man in my life."
Damn.
Yeah, that's when you reject her. That's when you reject her.
It's like straight up double bomb her, you know.
Yeah.
The other girl is what's her name?
Ayane.
Ayana. Yeah, she's not good at all.
Mm.
It's just a simple story of like it's actually very similar to good old Torah, but as opposed to being like this old gruff politician trying to like regain his spot and purpose, and you helping him, it's this little girl who loves band but isn't very good at band, so you help her with her ability to perform or whatever,
Mm.
and then she falls madly in love with you, and it's creepy. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah. All right. So the last one is Judgment, but I kind of want to skip over this because we have been going this for a while, and it's the Seekers of Truth and Say, but it's not really apples to apples here at this point, so I don't want to compare that. And then besides that, the only thing left after that is the Aeon, but that's comparing Aegis and Marie. And I can't honestly remember much about Miss Toaster, but so yeah, let's not do that one either.
Yeah, it's fine. There's no real point comparing them. They're too different, anyways.
Yeah. All right.
Saya, best girl?
Oh, definitely Sai. Sai is best girl, dude.
I mean, if cyber romance option,
I would romance Sai.
I definitely would have done a run with her as a romance.
100%.
I would have wiped Sai in a heartbeat, dude. Come on, don't you? I want a strong, independent woman prosecutor as my waifu. Like who?
Makoto.
She is not she is not a prosecutor.
But she is strong and independent.
Not as strong as independent as her freaking sister, dude.
Low blow. You have the lesser value. The lesser Saya.
Yeah, like what?
The inferior version.
Yeah, why? Why would you wipe the inferior when you can go for the side? Come on, dude. Come on.
Oh.
Sorry, what's up? Did we lose him?
Looks like he's still part of the chat.
Juicy? Mr. Juicy? We can't hear you.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, my bad. I was gonna say we forgot one more Arcana, or maybe even two, but one is Faith with Kasumi.
Well, there's no comparable one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were just listing all of the confidants.
Okay, sure.
At least.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kasumi, she's cool, and then you have Adachi, Jester.
Actually,
Jester slash the
Hunger. Yeah. Hunger if you max him.
Yeah. Which is cool. Yeah, it's just a different one.
So let's save the waifu sniping for another time. I think we can have. I'm pretty sure we can discuss for an hour about the P4 and P5 waifus. No problem. So we did have a lot of other things to talk about, but we are running low on time. So I think we can save those for another time.
Yeah, let's.
I think we should spend the rest of our time figuring out what we're gonna call the podcast.
Yes. These salty nuts. Anyone in favor?
I am not in favor of that. Salty nuts.
What about the salty boys?
No. Salty boys. No. I think we should be a little. I want to avoid gendered pronouns if we can.
Yeah.
I do like thumbsticks and daggers.
It doesn't have to be daggers. First thing came to my head: thumbsticks and
Thumbsticks and tears.
Thumbsticks. And daggers.
Sure. I mean, I'm not sure where the daggers comes in actually.
I'm fine with saying these salty and then a noun after that as well. If we can think of a good noun. But come on. I mean, IDK did raise the point that we aren't that salty.
No, we're not salty
Yeah,
at
so
all. I was just joking.
Yeah, I think it'd be a misnomer. We are not that salty.
I do like thumbsticks and something.
Thumbsticks.
Just thumbsticks.
Thumbsticks. Dum.
Damn. It'd be great if we could include iron somehow, but I don't think iron is going to fit our theme very well. and I do want to avoid Brotherhood as well.
Let me quickly search thumbsticks because I think that's a pretty cute name, and I think I'm for it. Just thumbsticks. Thoughts?
There is a Thumbstick Gamer podcast I see already,
Ooh.
Competition.
so we would need to make a little. I think we should add another thing to it.
I mean, when was the latest episode?
Let me see. February 2019, but it looks like they were active mainly in 2015.
Hmm.
Thumbsticks and mice.
Nah. Actually, okay. Why do we like playing games? Why do we like playing games?
For the feels.
For the escapism.
I do it for the story and the narrative.
Well, excuse me. Just kidding.
The feels, huh?
Just kidding. The story and what is it again?
Story and narrative.
Okay, story and narrative.
Like, let's see, Thumbstick Chronicles. Nah, doesn't sound too good.
That's true.
Thumbsticks and Tears, dude.
Thumbstick Adventures.
Thumbstick Adventures.
Thumbstick Adventurers. There we go.
I think
Thumbstick
Thumbstick Adventures sounds better. Because you could say Thumbstick Adventures and then colon a gaming podcast.
Yeah. Or Thumbstick Explorers, a gaming podcast.
No, I like adventurers because explorer seems like we're very knowledgeable on gaming controllers.
Yes.
I like it. It's fun. I like it.
Thumbstick Adventures, the gaming podcast.
Yeah.
Thumbstick Adventures.
All right. I guess that's our name. We are the thumbsticks, the Thumbstick Adventures. The listeners will be guided by Kagros, Juicy Samples, and IDK, and we are not very good guides. I'll tell you that.
Adventure Ho!
You know, for us to be like quite legitimate, we do need to reach out to Atlas and start requesting some preview copies, and then start building our review accolades.
I wholeheartely agree with you. Can we? I think we should reach out to our friend at Atlas and then request some what is it? Some review demos, huh?
Yes, let's do it. SMT5, I think is a
Like, I guarantee you, our friend at Atlas will tell us that they would rather prefer us to buy their games. But I think we can reach it. I think we can make a deal with them. You can say that
Yeah.
you send us the copies, and or we can send you a check for we'll pay for the games. Just give them to us early so we can review them.
We already have proof that we talk about Atlas for at least 6 hours so far. So
All we gotta do now is put out actual reviews.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
we're legit.
I mean we kind of reviewed Persona 4 pretty thoroughly. I feel like already.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit up our contacts and start small, baby steps, and then we'll get there.
We'll get there. All right, and then the last thing I should have put it down in our notes is that we need kind of like a sign off line. And anyone got any ideas?
I have an idea.
All right.
Let's if you can, think of a quote from any character from the Persona series.
Okay, let me think. Give me a second. Let me Google some stuff.
I'm trying to think. I think I know who I want to reference. I probably won't have it exactly. All right.
Hold up. All right, I got mine. I, I'm not gonna. I think one of you guys might say this though. Unfortunately,
What's IDK? Does IDK have one?
No, I don't. Not right now.
That's okay. Let me go first, because why don't you send us off, Kagros? Or let me send us off, and then you have the final word.
okay.
So to everyone, have a very good night.
Oh my god.
Ugh.
All right. Well, looking cool, Joker.
Oh jeez.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Yeah.
See ya.